Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 2 Samuel, the 15th chapter. And as we saw in the 14th chapter, Joab's elaborate plan to get David to finally give the order to allow or fetch Absalom back into the land. And so we saw at the end of that chapter, Absalom's return into the land. And here we are in 2 Samuel chapter 15. And it came to pass after this, that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him, being guards. And Absalom rose up early, and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so, that when any man that had any controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him, and said, Of what city art thou? So he basically would start to be at the entrance, right? Whenever people would come with a matter to try and get it resolved at the hand of the king, Absalom would be there at the entrance and meet them. And he would inquire of them what city in Israel they're from. And he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. So they would respond with what tribe or city they're from. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right. But there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. So the king hasn't appointed anybody that can just hear your matter, even though you have a good case. Absalom said moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any lawsuit, or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. So he made it, to where he basically sounded into the ears of the people, as he was playing this role of, I would gladly listen to your matters and any issues that come up and basically take that burden on to myself. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, so when they came to try and bow to him, he would put forth his hand, or he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him, but he would rather, stand him up and kiss him on the cheek, which is like a, a sign of like greeting or more welcoming. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. And that judgment meaning to judge a matter for them. They had a case or a lawsuit or some problem that they needed, a ruling on. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel, and that was basically his plan, to do this to gain favor amongst Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. So let me go to Hebron. I made a vow to the Lord, and I want to go and sacrifice to him and fulfill it. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord Yahweh shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. So that was his plan all along. And that's why he spent 40 years gaining favor amongst Israel, because he was trying to usurp the throne. So he basically tells them, when you hear the sound, just start announcing it that Absalom has been crowned, or basically he's reigning in Hebron, as in he's the new king. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. So they weren't aware of the plan that Absalom had. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. So while Absalom was offering sacrifices at Hebron, he sent and called for David's counselor Ahithophel. And the conspiracy was strong, being that their plan or their conspiracy to basically overthrow David and to usurp the throne. For the people increased continually with Absalom, so he started to get a lot of supporters. And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise, and let us flee. For we shall not escape from Absalom, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. So we got to go now, or else this guy, he's gonna he's gonna basically overtake the city, and he's gonna bring evil on us. And the king's servant said unto the king, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king, verse 16, went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. So basically to look over it in his absence. And the king went forth, and all the people with him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men, which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. And at this point, they were, I believe, crossing a body of water to go onto the other side. Then said the king unto Ittai, the Gittite, Wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place, and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger, and also an exile. Whereas thou camest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us? And by yesterday, it doesn't mean literally yesterday, but David is saying, like, you're kind of new here, right? Like, you haven't been here that long, and I can't basically expect this of you to where I'm involving you in my troubles and wherever I gotta go. As he says, seeing I go whither I may, as in, like, it's not like this is a day trip, so, I don't want you to have to bear this burden. Return thou and take back thy brethren. So you and your men, go back with them, and mercy and truth be with thee. And Ittai answered the king and said, As the Lord Yahweh liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. So I'm following you, even if it's to the grave. And David said to Ittai, Go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with them. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over, and the king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over toward the way of the wilderness. All right. And taking a look here, it says, as you can see, this is the path that this is the path here, right? From fleeing from Jerusalem to Gilgal, right? And then crossing this body of water to the other side. Where we at? There we go, verse 24. And lo, Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again, and shew me both it and his habitation. So take the ark back, and if the Lord decides to have mercy on me, then he'll bring me right back. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. And you notice that as David is going through this, he doesn't really try to justify himself, right? He doesn't even seem too shocked, more so distressed, but not so shocked as to what he is going through, as one would expect, right? To be absolutely infuriated that your son is trying to usurp your throne, and basically doing everything possible to get him out of there and all of that. But David knew why this was happening upon him, because it was a punishment of the Lord. And that's why he took the humble route, right? Without trying to justify himself, understanding that and knowing what he had done and what the Lord had, the punishment the Lord had said that he would bring upon him, that the sword would not depart from his house. So verse 26, as he's saying here, if the Lord decides, that he's done, he's through, he don't want to deal with you no more, well, that he can do unto David as he pleases. Verse 27, the king said also unto Zadok the priest, art not thou a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your two sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. Now, when David said this, as in, art not thou a seer, it's more in reference to like a man of wisdom, right, and prudence. And so he is basically telling Zadok, it's better for you and for us that you go back and dwell in Jerusalem. And he's going to expound on that in verse 28. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me. So I'll wait for you. I'll wait for information from you here, to let me know what I should do next, or at least what's going on. And Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and he had his head covered, and he went barefoot. And all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord Yahweh, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. Because David understood that Ahithophel did have good counsel, right? And by that meaning he was good at what he did, right? Hence he served in David's court for so long. And so David prayed that his counsel that he would give to Absalom would be foolishness. It wouldn't benefit them. And it came to pass when David was come to the top of the mount, that he worshipped God, and behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant hitherto, so will I now also be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. So what David was saying here is basically it'll be more burdensome to me for you to stay here, but rather more beneficial if you go back and feign yourself to be a counselor of Absalom, so that you can counter whatever Ahithophel might try to counsel him, and because knowing that you would be doing it in my favor. And hast thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priest? Therefore it shall be, that what things soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. So you guys are going to work together from the inside, right? You're close to Absalom. You have his ear by being, one that is an advisor as well, right? Or a counselor. And so whatever you hear, you let Zadok and Abiathar know. And then they're going to let, verse 36, behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them ye shall send unto me everything that ye can hear. So basically there will be like intel. You guys pass intel amongst each other, and then they'll come and report it to me, and then I'll know what to do from there. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. And now the stage is set. And that brings us to the end of 2 Samuel, the 15th chapter. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.